So thank you so much for having me here. I'm really excited. My head is full of information from the last few days, and I'm really excited to be sharing about inclusive innovation with a focus on women. So Connected Women's vision is to be the leading community in the Philippines for women's empowerment in the digital economy. And our mission is all about improving the lives of Filipino women through meaningful online work, including entrepreneurship, freelancing, and other areas that they can participate in the digital economy. And we've had quite an interesting journey, actually, because we started as a community advocating for digital inclusion, digital adoption, and now we train women in how to get skills for the artificial intelligence industry. And I'm not talking about women from the tech industry. I'm talking about women from the grassroots, women who have no backgrounds in tech, no backgrounds sometimes in work, and come from a very diverse sector, including those with different abilities and from older generations. So I'm going to do a little bit of a case study today, just to share how we've implemented some of the solutions on the ground in the Philippines. I believe that these are solutions that can be replicated, and we would love to bring them to other countries in the region and even around the world. But first, I want to just highlight why women. Because when your company is called Connected Women, people often ask the question, and I think it's a fair question, but why women? What about the men, la? What about the men? But our philosophy is that empowering women helps everyone. Empowering women isn't about exclusion. Empowering women is about inclusion. And here are some of the quite shocking statistics that lead us to focus on women. Women are still less likely than men to have access to a financial institution or a bank account. Most of those 3.9 billion people who are offline come from rural areas. They tend to be poorer, less educated, and the majority are women and girls. And women are still less likely to be entrepreneurs and face more disadvantages when they start a business. And women are still constrained from achieving the highest leadership positions, with only 5% of Fortune 500 CEOs being women. This is my mom. This was her in the 70s when she left her small town in the Philippines to go to the UK to be a domestic worker. She had very little education. She came from a farming family, very little opportunity. But for some reason, when she looked outside her window and saw mainly chickens and dirt, she decided that she wanted something more for her life and for her future family. I actually grew up in the UK, so in case you're wondering about my accent, that's why. My mom married my father, who's British, and I spent most of my life in the UK. I grew up around Filipino families and met a lot of Filipino women who had actually left their kids behind because they had no choice but to look for opportunities overseas. This lady with my son, her name is Beth. When we moved to Singapore from the UK for work, Beth was our Filipino home helper. And Beth's story was very sad because her husband had died when her children were very small, and she decided to leave the Philippines to go and look for opportunities overseas so that she could send back money to educate her children. And the most heartbreaking part of Beth's story was that when I met her and she joined our family, she had already been in Singapore for 8 years, and she had never been home, not even once, to see her children, because she couldn't even bear to spend the cost of traveling home and back again. She needed to save every penny for her children's education. This is 40 years after my mom left. It hit me a little bit hard. I've been working with women and empowering women's communities for over a decade at that point. And I suddenly thought, maybe there's something more that women can do. Maybe there's a way that we can bring opportunities home so that they don't have to be in this situation anymore. So that was the question that we were pondering. How can we bring opportunities home for Filipino women so they don't have to leave the country to look for other opportunities? So we went back to the Philippines in 2016 and we did a survey, a very basic survey. We just sent it out on Facebook and said, who would be interested in a remote work opportunity? And we had almost 5,000 sign-ups through this survey, applicants. And we asked them a lot of different questions, and I'll just share a few of the key insights from this survey. One was, what do you think is the biggest challenge for women in terms of getting access to employment opportunities? There were other answers. It was a checkbox that they could choose with all different things, including access to skills, access to devices, education, and everything else, experiences. But these were the top 3 that came up. Location from available jobs, family commitments, and the third one, not enough suitable jobs, which I think was very much linked to the first 2. We also asked them, what type of work are you looking for? And while 13% were looking for part-time work, 31% were looking for full-time work, and 56% for flexible work. But interestingly enough, when we drilled down on the question, how many hours are you willing to work every day, of those looking for flexible work, actually over 40% of those 8 hours a day. So it's not that they don't want to work, they just need to work from where they are and during the hours that they're available. Around, of course, the burden of unpaid care work that still falls very heavily on women. And this was the one that was a bit shocking for us. When we looked at their experience levels of these applicants, they were actually incredibly experienced. 60% actually held team leader positions or higher. So that was a little bit unexpected because we were looking for those that really needed empowering. And then when we looked at the education level of these applicants, 89% actually are highly educated. But something was wrong, and that's the trouble with data. It doesn't always tell you the story that you're looking for or the true story on the ground. The messages that I personally get on my Facebook and other platforms, and the ladies who approach me personally, are not these ladies. They're asking for opportunities, but they don't have the skills, the education, and everything else. So they're not even represented in this survey. These ladies can reskill and can probably do well for themselves without much help from Connected Women. We still work with the ladies in our community from this demographic. By the way, we have different types of programs and different access, but that wasn't the problem that we were trying to solve. So what about the others? And I think that is what inclusive innovation is all about for me. It's when you lie awake at night and you know that you found a solution for some, or someone has, but then there's always someone who's missing out, someone who isn't being helped, someone who you can't help, or is really difficult to help. It feels impossible. And those are the ones that I like thinking about. So these eye bags, that's where they came from. But then on the other hand, we have this incredible opportunity. The world is facing a talent crisis due to the growth of the technology and artificial intelligence industry. And everybody says that there's no talent. But there is a world of talent. We're just not accessing it. In fact, the global artificial intelligence market size was valued at 136.6 billion in 2022. Humans are still powering this industry. We're not there yet that the robots can actually do it all for us and we can retire and take a very long vacation, I think. So at the height of the pandemic, well, just before the pandemic, we were trying to think about how we could solve this problem, and we were looking for solutions that already exist. Let's not reinvent the wheel if there are solutions out there that can apply to us too. And we partnered with UN Women, and we launched a pilot called Elevate IDA, which stands for Artificial Intelligence Data Annotation. And we wanted to identify a high-growth market, which meant that there would be lots of opportunities. We wanted to look for proven business models where this had worked in other countries, and we've seen similar projects in Africa, India, that work very well. And we wanted to make sure that if we were going to train women, we wanted to make sure that we could train them in market-aligned skills, something for the future. And most importantly, for me, it was to bring women into tech at scale, regardless of their background. Something that was easy enough for them to learn with the most basic level of skills, experience, or access to devices or connectivity. And we believe that providing remote work opportunities is a way to keep women and all that talent in the workforce. Always point here. And these are the segments that we work with. So some are less educated women, such as high school graduates. We don't discriminate. If they don't have a high school degree, they can still apply, as long as they have the baseline level of skills. Full-time moms who maybe have dropped out of the workforce, but they want to stay at home. Single mothers who need to stay at home. Working students, especially those who are trying to fund their ongoing education. Those with different abilities, COVID-displaced workers. So we had a lot of teachers and a lot of tourism industry participants during the time of COVID. Senior citizens, we don't have any upper age bracket. Why would we do that? They have so much experience that they can bring to the table. And those, similar to my mom, home helpers or OFW, so overseas Filipino workers, or even housewives who just want to do something because they never had the opportunity to have a career. And I'll just share a very short video that tells the story of Elevate Ida.
So, kunyari, itong image na to, itong picture na to, so i-identify nito ng data labeler na ito, kotse.
Yung consistency in your work, consistency in how, whether you're doing excellent work, no? Kasama yan.
I think women know this, no? That as much as we are in a situation na andito kami sa malayong probinsya ng Basilan, we have always been considered as marginalized, no? Laging napag-iiwanan. But at the same time, we also want people and the world to know na we have so much. We want to graduate from being mere beneficiaries. We want to be not just recipients of any economic development, but contributors. Lalong-lalo na ho yung mga kababaihan. We are really investing in our women kasi alam namin pag nag-invest tayo sa kababaihan, buong pamilya ang makikinabang, buong komunidad ang makikinabang. So thank you so much and looking forward to more projects and programs with Connected Women. Congratulations sa ating mga kababaihan.
Being single mom, we can able to work at home. Thank you din talaga sa opportunity na naging kabilang kami sa Connected Women.
Nabawasan yung yung stress ko. Hindi ko masyadong naisip yung problema kasi busy ako sa ginagawa ko, nalilibang ako. At the same time, pwede kang kumita, makakatulong din sa family ko.
When I first heard about Connected Women, something immediately resonated with me. The idea of helping women find livelihood, and not just any livelihood, but something that's a little further up the value chain. It just struck a chord, and it just made me determined to help, because I've always believed that women are the backbone of our society, and that if we help them, we help everyone.
How are you today?
Nagpapasalamat po ako sa Connected Woman. Tapos sa opportunity binigay nila sa akin, siyempre bilang stroke survivor, hindi po madaling maghanap ng work sa labas. Kailangan stable na work. Tapos, kasi for example, dito po sa amin yung mga kasama ko is 18 years old na. Tapos sila pong lahat is may work na. So sabi ko, gusto ko rin mag-work. Pero nag-aano sa akin na yung situation kung ganito, may tatanggap ba sa akin? Sabi ko, So, nagpapasalamat po ako sa Connected Women na yung mga kagaya namin is hindi nila dinidiscriminate.
I was informed that the enthusiasm and the commitment is very high, and we are very pleased from the UN Women's side to really hear at least your stories of now, how you see and how you are anticipating what could change because of this training that you have attended.
That young lady, Rika, she went back to school. She's studying social studies. She's actually my niece. She comes from my mom's small town, and she lost hope. She had a stroke at 16 years old, and they couldn't even diagnose because they don't really have the facilities where she lives. And it took a very long time before they actually realized what happened to her, and she started to get the rehabilitation that she needed. But she was very depressed when she joined the program, and you should see her now. She actually appears in one of the other videos, but I don't know if I have time to show you that one today. So this is some of the numbers of what we've achieved through the program. So we launched in 2020, right at the height of the pandemic. We have 600 graduates, 200 project placements, and 115, that should say unique placements. So 115 of those ladies have actually been placed on projects, and some of them have been placed on more than one project. There's still a gap, right? And the challenge is, some of it we've talked about over the last few days, and in particular today. A lot of the challenge in placing them is in connectivity and devices, because we don't stop them from joining the program if they don't have access to connectivity and devices, because that would defeat the purpose of trying to get them into the program. So we want to get them into the program so that they know that the opportunity exists, and hope that they will be resourceful and be able to get access somehow, or that we can find partners that can help them get access. But we know that we can increase that 20%. We know we can, because we're seeing a lot more projects coming in and a lot more partners who are willing to help. We also sometimes upskill them into more specialized roles, and I'm hoping to see more specialized roles, especially on the data track, because the track for data annotators could be actually data analysts, it could be data scientists, and there are so many in our program that have that potential once they get their foot in the door. And the data collection and labeling market is projected to reach $6 billion USD by 2027. So I think there's more than enough work for these ladies to be able to access. So our model is a socially responsible outsourcing model. We're a for-profit. We believe that we don't have to forfeit profit in order to do good. So our training is funded by public and private sector partners. We focus on women from disadvantaged groups, and the training is free. In fact, we give them an allowance to train so that they don't have to worry about putting food on the table while they're going through the program. And then we partner with big companies and small companies, like the big telco in the Philippines, PLDT, who's now one of our biggest clients, along with local banks, and also international companies, and some specialized AI companies, even in Silicon Valley, we work with. We fully manage the project, so we have an operations team that takes care of the project, and then we work with the ladies who are part of a pool. So they apply to join projects, and we select for projects depending on the skill sets required, and of course the devices and the software that we need to use, and the number of ladies that we need to be able to complete projects on time. And we make sure that these ladies are paid a decent wage, they can work from home, and they have opportunities to upskill. And we always reinvest a portion of our revenue back into community social mobility projects. So these are some of the gender-responsive business practices that I hope that all organizations will start to think about as they grow and as they build and look for this elusive talent. I think advocating for women's empowerment in the digital economy is so important. I'm really happy to see men still here. Thank you. Some of the best women's empowerment champions I've met are men, including my husband, who's our CTO. He quit his job in Singapore to follow me and do this. And I think access to connectivity and devices is still our biggest challenge. Some very important points came up during the course of this session, that it's not enough to have connectivity available in an area. They need to know how to use it. They need to be able to understand why they would use it for something other than social media and YouTube, right? And making sure that we give access to these flexible work from home opportunities for women. Connected Women has always been remote. We've been advocating for remote work since before the pandemic, people would say, well, that's okay for you, but that would never work for us. And amazingly, people made it work because they had to. Let's not go back. Let's continue on this path of innovating, because I don't think you'll get the talent that you're looking for if you don't innovate and create a hybrid environment at the very least, especially the younger generation. They're not interested in sitting in a cubicle. And of course, making sure that we understand the market so that we can provide relevant upskilling, especially for the AI industry, because it's such a huge opportunity and is still very much reliant on human talent. And we're really proud to be recognized globally for the meaningful progress towards the Sustainable Development Goals, including the COVID-19 action from UN Women, Women's Empowerment Principle Awards, and we were a finalist for the ITU Digital Award 2021 in Geneva. And these are some of the partners. So I heard a lot of speakers talking about the importance of partnership and collaboration. There's no way we could do any of the things that we do without our partners. You'll see that we have different types of partners. We have the program funders who actually help us train women. And that also includes sometimes local government units in the Philippines, like Mayor City, who's from the conflict area of Mindanao. Her government unit actually funded some of the scholarships. Sometimes we work with the local governments really just to give us access to the ladies in their community who want to participate in the program. And of course, our clients, and our favorite clients are the ones who also fund training. And these are some of the services that we can provide. So it's not menial work, probably not the type of work that you want your data scientists and data analysts doing. It's the type of work that really supports those specialist roles. But we can tag images, we can tag text sentiment, we can do data correction in huge databases or transcribing voice. And these are some of the really interesting use cases that our ladies have worked on. So you'll see that, although some of the work is more basic, they can really upskill quite quickly and learn how to do all sorts of tasks in support of computer vision and development of artificial intelligence. And what I'm really proud about when I look at this client slide is you'll see it's actually the commercial units that we work with. So we're not approaching the CSR units for the commercial work. The CSR units sometimes work with us to help us with the training and other things, but it's actually the commercial departments that say, well, hang on a minute, this makes sense to us. This makes sense to us commercially, and we're giving back. And I think that really is the model of future business that we're all aiming for. And I think I have just enough time to show one last video. But before I do that, let me just close and say that at Connected Women, we believe in a future where AI accelerates innovation and impact and creates accessible opportunities for all. So I hope that there are some possible partners in the room, and we can talk and we can possibly work together and create opportunities, because it's everyone's responsibility to make sure that no woman or her family is left behind. Thank you, and I'll just play out one last video as I leave the stage.
Nag-resign po ako nung na-aksidente po ako. Yung confidence level ko is tumaas. Kasi nagkakaroon po kasi ako ng knowledge at saka confident na rin po ako na mag-apply ng mga online jobs.
Laking pasalamat sa AIDA kasi dadagdagan po yung kaalaman ko at may natutunan pa akong mga skills.
Na-consider po ako ng orthopedic disability because kasi po na-stroke po ako before. Ngayon, isa na po akong student, first year college student and coming second year. taking up Bachelor of Science in Social Work. Laking tulong dahil hindi ko na kailangan umalis ng bahay, hindi ko na kailangan mag-commute, hindi ko kailangan makipagsapalaran sa labas.
Hindi pa huli ang lahat para sa mga kababaihan na nakatulad ko. Yung pera naman na kinita doon, talagang nagagamit siya. Kailangan sa bahay, sobrang malaking tulong po talaga siya.
Thankful din ako sa opportunity na to kasi kahit nasa bahay lang, nag-earn na ako.
Kaya ko nang kumuha pa po ng mga ibang task po at feeling pa rin po naman po akong matuto sa iba pang mga project na darating po.
Sa mga katulad kong nanay na hindi man ganun kagaling sa pagdating sa computer, sa mga applications, so Elevate IDA siya yung magandang stepping stone mo kung gusto mong pumasok or kung gusto mong magkaroon ng career dito sa bahay, at the same time, maalagaan mo yung mga anak mo.
Malaking impact talaga sa aming professional life. Saka yun, nakakatulong siya financially.
Yung job na meron ako ngayon is really very fulfilling. I have this job in Connected Women. I can impart my learnings to other ladies.
It helped me have my self-esteem back and confidence back. And then yun nga na nakakapag-work ako sa bahay na hindi ko kailangan mamili between my family and my career.
I'm way over 35 pero malakas pa ako. So how am I going to provide for my family if I cannot get a job? Getting into the training was a big help because it became the stepping stone for me to get into Connected Women.
I do multiple jobs because nga dahil graduate ako ng Elevate IDA, and then nagiging interesado sila what I know. Yun is napakalaking impact sa akin na nagbago yung plano ko na sana mapapalayo pa ako sa pamilya ko, pero dahil dito na lang ako kasama sila.
Rewarding siya na napunta ako sa organization that really gives back.
I'm sure yung mga natutunan ko dito, madadala ko kung ano man yung career na mapapasukan ko.
Thank you.